year, around this time of the year, I do like a best palettes of the year so far. And I will say, and I might be wrong, oh my god, I might regret this. Watch me regret this towards the end of the year. I don't feel like I've reviewed and tried as many eyeshadow palettes this year. This is like foreshadowing, as I have done some other years, but I'm still gonna do a top 12, I don't have 12 fingers, top 12 eyeshadow palettes of 2025 so far. And I do have some really incredible palettes here in front of me. The palette that I'm wearing today, though, this video has already gone live on my channel. This is with the Little Cosmetics and Adventure Time palette. And the whole collection, quite honestly. Look at this rainbow highlighter. This one I'm not including because I've only used it once and I literally filmed that look today. So I'm not going to be including this one. It's not because I don't like it. If you see a palette that you know that I love and it's not included here, it might be for the simple reason that, quite honestly, I haven't tried it enough. I'm not ready to review it. One of them, for example, is the Bella Beauté bar, the new Smoky Glam. I still have not tried that as I'm filming this. I'm pre-filming a little bit. I do want to mention though, usually I don't, but listen, I want to be proud of myself. I want to be proud of my work, and I want to be proud of the beautiful things that I've created with my own brand. And this is the first palette that I'm going to mention. I am very biased though, because this is my own indie brand, Cinch Beauty, and I love this palette. I love how this one turned out. I love being able to decide everything myself. How big the pans are gonna be, what colors I'm gonna have, what finishes they're gonna be. I tried deliberately to avoid any of those super smooshy shadows that like crease on me, and maybe some of the other ones out there as well. I tried to include really pigmented, buttery, beautiful, buildable, blendable mattes in light to dark, together with some really interesting shimmer formulas. I'm very proud of this palette. I've been using this palette so much. It's crazy, honestly, and I'm so excited that it's now available to everyone. So this one is available right now on my website, the Agate Temptation. Did I even say the name? I love how the packaging turned out. I love what the artist did with the idea that I had and how everything came together with the colors, with the textures, everything. Very proud of this. And I'm gonna be honest with you, even if I hadn't done this one, this would still have been included in the top 12 best palettes of the year, because I quite honestly think that this is a great palette. I wouldn't put my name on something, well, I didn't put my name on it, but I wouldn't put the name of my brand on something that I didn't believe in. The other palettes, they have no like order, no rhyme or reason. I'm not going to be ranking them. I'm just going to be letting you know about the 11 other palettes that I really love and really recommend. One of them is the Bitten palette by Gourmande Girls. Some of these brands I do have an affiliate code with. If I have, it will pop up here. I think I bought one of these palettes myself and the rest I got in PR. I will put all the information in the description box. I always do that, and I mark whether or not I bought it myself or if I got it in PR, if I have a code, all of those things. But this is the Bitten palette by Gourmande Girls. This is the palette that they released for Valentine's Day. It's like a little bit of almost like a spooky vibe to Valentine's Day, which I think they did so well. It's this like cool toned purples and reds meets some grays and then like berry tones. I think this palette is beautiful and I love the quality of this one. And quite honestly, I think that they did such a good job with this one. Everything about this palette just makes me extremely happy. And I know my best friend has this palette as well, and she has used it so much, and we could not be different in aesthetics. I am a happy clown. I like wearing colorful clothes in 70s colors, and she is very fair, very cool toned, and she is a goth girl and has been since early teens, but we still both love this palette equally. It's a very versatile palette. Maybe that's what I want to say. More versatile than you might think just looking at it. The next one that I absolutely love, and words cannot explain how much this is my color story. Again, did I mention the 70s colors? This is the Monk palette by Fantasy Cosmetica. I think this is just so gorgeous. Quite honestly, what a palette. Beautiful, like warm, yummy, yellow leaning. It's giving velvet couch and shag rug in the best way possible. Love the shimmers, love the mattes. I think it is a beautiful palette. It doesn't have an inner corner highlight for me, but quite honestly, there is no lack of like inner corner highlights for me in my collection, and I love this palette. I think this is a beautiful palette. Is this my favorite palette from Fantasy Cosmetics? I don't know, because I did put, every year I do like a yearly ranking where I rank each and every palette that I've tried throughout the year, which usually ends up being 100+ palettes. And last year I put a palette from Fantasy Cosmetica as number 1. And quite honestly, this one is already like, do I love this more? I don't know. They also released another banger palette just recently, and this is the Ranger palette. Such a beautiful muted greens going to like reddish neutrals. This is a more muted version with 9 shades, of course, and leaning a little bit more on the pinky peachy side. Mine is a little bit more orange than the Agate Temptation that I just showed you. I just think this is beautiful, and especially these 2 shades up here. They're just such beautiful shades, and I think Fantasy Cosmetica, she is just really good at color stories and making sure that her palettes are versatile and usable. And I love this one too. I think it is so beautiful. Another brand that I really love the quality of is Cosmic Beauty. And this is the Lovers palette. This is a 20 pen palette that they released for Valentine's Day. And this is almost like, it's giving muted mid-century pastels and neutrals. And I really enjoy the look of this palette. And again, those 2 like pastel blues, they're just everything I love. Love Cosmic Beauty's like just formula is just absolutely stunning. And I think this palette, even though this isn't my perfect color story, because I like something that isn't leaning a little bit on the gray side, I still think this palette is absolutely beautiful, and I love the looks that I've done with this one, and the quality is just beautiful, and I just cannot wait to see what else they have for this year, because their palettes always end up being favorites for me because I just love their quality. I also loved the new version of the Unearthly Cosmetics Not Normal palette. So Unearthly Cosmetics reimagined the Not Normal and came out with it in their new format that is more shades and just an even more impressive shimmer formula. These shades are amazing, and this is just a very like, it's an interesting take on what's considered a neutral palette, because there are some more brighter purple and a brighter green, but overall it's a kind of a muted palette. And I've been really into those kind of looks as well as of late, where it's like, in a way it's colorful, but in a way it's also neutral. That kind of like juxtaposition has just been really attractive to me. As I say, as I'm looking like an absolute glorious clown today, but I just really enjoyed this palette. I thought it was beautiful. I also really enjoyed the new palette by Gourmande Cosmetics. This is the Beauty Below palette. This packaging is stunning. This is heavy though. This is probably the heaviest palette in my collection. These pans are magnetic, which makes it a very heavy palette. These shades are beautiful. If you love jewel tones, all the jewel tones, super beautiful. Really enjoying the jeweled like berries and purples up here. It's very much my jive. This shimmer here, stunning. This shimmer here, stunning. Overall, I mean, Blend Money does really amazing mattes, and I feel like her shimmers in this one are just really stunning as well. And I love this packaging. This is, according to me, the best packaging that Blend Money has ever done. It is, quite honestly, really stunning. Again, did I mention the happy clown face? I love a really colorful look. The Drops of Fantasy by DD's Signature. It is so bright. It is so colorful. It is such an innovative and just exciting take on a rainbow palette, because it is not just your typical crayon colors. It's a mix of bright and murky, light and dark, almost neons together with muted colors. There's different depths in here. I just feel like there's so many ways you can go with this palette. And then this really interesting row of shimmers in here that are just beautiful, like duochromes. And then we have a holographic duochrome with like purpley pink in the middle. Absolutely stunning. Loving the whole vibe of this palette. This is probably my favorite palette of the Signature to date, because I feel like this one is really bringing fun and bright and colorful. And if you love color, especially now for the summertime, this is just happiness in a palette. Here's another run by Gourmande Girls, and this is Call of the Sirens. Do you see that like mermaids are having a little bit of a comeback? So this is Call of the Sirens, and this is also a little bit more on the same theme as the Blend Money palette. It's more like that murky, jewel toned, almost like the wicked side of mermaids and sirens. It's not the happy-go-lucky Ariel. Was she a happy-go-lucky? But you know, it's not the Disney mermaid. This is the wicked mermaid of the folk tales, the one that will drag you down to the depths. A lot of like really dark and murky jewel tones, very interesting. I love the contrast between the cool tones and the purples with those bright like orangey coppery yellows. Absolutely beautiful. This is a stunning, stunning palette. Gloss Gods released a palette that is called the Dancing Lights palette, and I really, really love this palette. Gloss Gods, it's a Swedish indie brand, and this is of course inspired by the Aurora lights. This has some multi-chromes, it has some duochromes, some toppers, really beautiful shades, really bright and fun and colorful. And again, it goes from light to dark, some middle shades. Absolutely love it. This shade right here, I could marry this shade right here. I really love this one down here as well. It's this like, you know, purpley, warm purple going to this like blue duochrome. Absolutely stunning. I just think this is a beautiful palette altogether. It's an absolutely stunning palette. I love the quality of it. Love the looks that I've done. Highly recommend it. Let's talk about another one that's leaning a little bit more like unexpected neutrals. Like, is this a neutral palette or is it a colorful palette? And this is from Arttitude Cosmetics, and this is the Ink and Roses palette. This one, again, you can do some really cool toned neutral looks with this one, but there's also like this really bright berry. There are some greens in here. Love these like dark shimmer shades right here. Absolutely stunning. And these like silver and pewters here are just so impactful and beautiful. This is a palette that is, again, a play on what is a neutral palette, because you can go bright with this, but you can also use all the shades in this palette together and create just different types of neutral looks depending on how you mix them together. And I just think this is a really smart take on a cool tone neutral palette with the pops of different things. Very nice palette. And the last palette I want to mention is a collab palette between Morgan Turner and Oden's Eye. And again, this is also a take on what is a neutral palette, because I know that Morgan Turner is a little bit more into neutrals and she loves purples, but she also did do a little bit of a dare with this palette where she introduced some pinks in here, because again, this came out around Valentine's, and I also think it's super smart to be like, what could really go with this color scheme that is my favorites, that is the purples and the neutrals, and putting in this like just pop of a corner of a pink. It goes together with everything. You can mix and match and get really bright looks, or you can keep it a little bit more muted if you want to. Overall, I think this color story is really beautiful, and I hope the success of this palette has shown Oden's Eye that there might be a market for them just releasing even more muted and neutral stories, because I do think, and maybe you've seen that with this palette, like that are right here, sometimes like neutral palettes, they don't get as much hype, but that doesn't mean that they're not the best seller for a brand. And I do hope that we get to see even more versatility when it comes to color stories, not only textures and stuff, but when it comes to color stories as well with indie brands. And also, I do appreciate, I will say, I didn't mention any of the price points with any of these brands, because when I talk about products, I do tend to talk about quality first and foremost, but there are definitely a difference sometimes in how much a palette is dependent on how many special shades are in there. And that's something that I've always admired with Oden's Eye and their pricing, is that they usually put one special shade in each palette to keep the cost down, because it is the special shades that are making the palettes $70, $80, $90. And I will say there has been a lot of indie palettes on the market these past couple of years that have been quite expensive, and I do feel like at least a couple of the palettes here that I'm mentioning, I know this one for sure is $45. I think the palettes from Fantasy Cosmetica is under $40 as well. I know my palette is $45. I worked really hard to keep the price down on this one. Not 100% sure. I do think that Blend Money are able to keep their price down pretty well on their palettes too. And Cosmic Beauty is also a brand that's worked really hard to keep the prices down on their palettes. It depends on how big an indie brand is, how much they can keep the price down, but also, again, how many special shades are in there. So I wanted to make sure also that I don't only talk about like quality, 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 because I do think that that's the most important thing, but I also want there to be some options if you don't want to spend $60, $70, $80, $90 on a palette. I also want to say there is not a single mainstream palette in here. The one that came closest, that actually, like, if I hadn't included my own palette, it would have been, I think it's called the Bloom palette, right, from Natasha Denona. I'll link that one down below as well. I do actually really enjoy that, but of course I had to be honest, I do enjoy my palette more. But that palette is, according to me, the best mainstream palette that's been released this year so far, according to me. My preferences, what I like, and stuff like that. So take that as like a bonus feature at the end. Just what I think is the best mainstream palette this year so far. Let me know which has been your favorite palette of this year so far. Let me know what you are looking for when you are buying a new eyeshadow palette. Are you looking for only color story or only special shades? Is price point important to you? How many shades are you looking for? Do you need a mirror? I want to hear all about it, because I feel for me, color story and not being too large are two things that I'm looking for. Versatility in the color story, and a palette that's not too large. That are two things that I'm looking for when I'm buying a palette, and I want to hear about your thoughts as well. Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you real soon again in a new video.